Welcome everyone, welcome to the AskGolfNut channel, welcome to the AGM podcast, and I have the Math Nut here as well. I have the chat going on, as you can see, to the side of me, so by all means pop in the chat, let me know you can hear me okay, let me know that you can see everything okay, and we're going to go into having a chat about all things golf. Not going to be on a massive amount of time today. I'll give you a little insight what's been going on to my life at the moment. I've been a bit busy, and also for the 3 drivers that I've been testing over the last week or so, trying to be as kind to my knee as I possibly can do. More on that one in a little while. So let's see if we can pop over to see Andy. Let's see if this one works okay. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Andy.
Hello, Andy. Andy's there. Firstly, apologies for my attire. As you can see, I'm not in my normal golf attire. I have been a busy boy today, and doesn't necessarily mean I'm in my golf attire. I've got the hat, and as you can see, desperately need a shave. But at the moment, I'm more scruffy than Andy. Right, let's go see if we...
The chicks dig scruff.
I'm happily married, so years past. I ain't got the time for all that. Neil says, evening all. Even Niels, hope you are well. Carl's in the house as well. Greetings, Earthlings. Greetings, Carl. Alex, howdy. Hello, Alex, how are you? I hope you're well. Howdy. Carl again. You two, Niels. Hello, Alex. And Carl's just saying hello to everyone. Alex back saying, how goes the battle? Hope all is well. The battle for Carl on his recuperation. We need an update, Carl. Getting down there. And Eero also, hello Eero, hope you're good, and fine sound and visuals. Wow, I am. Yeah, now we've cursed that one. And thanks, Alex. Come on then, Carl, give us an update. How is the body? How are we doing when it comes to swinging golf clubs? And I've got a plus, I've got a 1 on here, which I'm not quite sure if I should touch it or not. No, just a, yeah. Pete Evans in the house. Good day, gents. G'day, Pete.
G'day, mate.
I was just saying to the wife today, what was I saying? I was quoting a Mick Dundee, Crocodile Dundee.
That's
what
not
was it?
Nice.
What was it? I'll tell you what it was, very, very quickly. I won't bore you. So the wife is the treasurer for my local church, because she does all that kind of stuff. And there was a invoice popped through the door, and it was someone to fix the tap or something or other. And I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, well, whenever I retire, whenever that will be, I'll never retire, I'll never stop, I'll always do something. But I reckon I'll end up being odd job man. Because generally speaking, I can do within reason most things, and so I end up, I'll probably, and I'm thinking that I'll probably, within reason, be stuck doing the church stuff. And I thought to myself, I can't remember what film it was, whether it was 1 or 2, but where Mick Dundee says, yeah, me and God, we'd be mates. That just made me giggle. Just made me giggle, that's all. Right. I don't recommend mono if you're a senior citizen. Mono?
It's not particularly good at any age.
Yeah.
It's but an infection.
Oh, there you go. Right. Alex, then question for Brits. I've got you covered. Have you heard an expression, it's like tearing a £50 note? Take your time, I suppose, but I don't know. I've never used it, I'll be honest. I mean, who would like...
a 50.
Oh, no, I see. Another weird story. Back in the day, many, many moons ago, I must have been, this is talking 30 years ago now, if not more, I helped my father put a conservatory on my uncle's house. And for helping out, my uncle gave me a £50 note. Bearing in mind, that was 30 odd years ago, and I still have it. There you go. It's deflation, I suppose, or inflation has seen that go from whatever value it was to whatever value it is. It's still £50, but you kind of get the drift. Thoughts on steel fibre? I-95 CW. I don't like them as a general rule. And I'll tell you the reason why I don't like them. I tell you what, Andy, why don't you think I like them?
Because you don't care about chefs, regardless.
No, actually, the only reason I don't like them is because they are one of the only few on the Mizuno Swing DNA that are upchargeable, and hence why I don't like them. I've never been a fan of any manufacturer upcharging for any shaft. Bearing in mind, really, there's other shafts out there that would do a similar thing to steel fibre.
All the graphites are upcharged though? Like, no?
Nope. So on a Ping,
so 15.
Yeah, Ping run, all the graphites are slightly more expensive, and the steel options, or the stock steel options are free technically, but not, because you're always paying for the shaft anyway, but you kind of get the idea. And then if you have extra special wonderful ones you can choose, then they are absolutely upchargeable. But the Ping do run the graphites at I think it's something, when this is going back in the day a little bit, when I used to obviously coach and custom fit full time, but we're looking at, I think it was something like £8 plus VAT trade. What's that? $11, $11, something like that. I don't know if Ping do the same thing. I don't know, but yeah. So that's why I've never liked the steel fibres, because I've never had a fitting, never, still to this day, and now because I don't fit anymore, I've got other things I need to do. I'm still got 100% track record. I have never had a fitting where I have had the steel fibre as the one of the top 3 or top 4 or 5, and never found another shaft that would do exactly the same thing as a steel fibre, but for free.
I mean, it's well over stiffness for its weight. I mean, it's, you know, and you have to want to be playing like a 120 or 130 with a pretty heavy load profile to justify a steel fiber generally.
Yeah.
You know, usually it kind of counteracts the point of going lightweight. Most people who want the steel fiber profile, you know, aren't worried about weight to begin with. So.
Well, I mean, the steel fibre is, from memory, exceptionally stiff at the butt end as well, is it not?
It's stiff. It's exceptionally stiff all the way down. It's you know, its overall stiffness is higher than a lot of X-Flex steels. So.
Yeah. So the interesting thing with the steel fibre I-95 is the fact that it's counterbalanced. If you were to compare that to another golf club, and for the profile that it is and the weight that it is and how stiff that it is.
It's not a counterweight. It's constant weight.
Constant weight. Oh, so like an AWT.
No, the opposite.
But
the standard steel fibers are not the constant weight, are the ones that have the same weight.
Okay. They went on the DNA last time I looked.
Yeah.
Mine says, great to see Tommy Fleetwood win again. Yes, Indian Open or something like that, wasn't it? Off the top of my head, I can't remember now. Now he seems to have got the winning habit. Yes, generally speaking, does. He's done well for himself anyway. He's generally done well for himself. He hasn't won a ton at all, but the floodgates are opening. But unfortunately, he's a little bit late, I think, to contend for the race to Dubai, but you never know. He's doing well. In Niels' wild words, I'm a tart. That's Carl. I had the steel fibre and it was hard for me to load after 7 irons. Interesting. Jay, did you ever test the Sim 2 Max driver? The vacuum formed one, if I remember. Well, it looked like it was vacuum formed. It was blue and white and black. Yellow as well? Did I have? I can't remember. It was just...
Every color.
It was hideous. I don't mind saying that the whoever decided that the Sim 2 Max, those kind of TaylorMade make a far better looking driver now. I think the QI35 just looks lovely. Of course, there's going to be a change imminently What we're going to be called, don't quite know yet, unless someone's got it on Instagram for a little bit of a, someone can Google. Andy, most probably Googling now. No yellow, but it was a titanium, last titanium face. It was their last one before we went into stealth and stealth 2 and all those kind of things. Now, again, I just find them making a carbon, 60 sheet carbon face, I don't see it benefiting at all compared to the likes of any other driver. There's no, considering the cost it's going to be, I can't see a distinct benefit going carbon to titanium. Can you, Andy? I can't.
It's the weight reduction. It's just the weight reduction to get the MOI up. It's an easy way to get the MOI up with.
Yeah, but I wouldn't mind
reduction.
If that meant that the QI35, because of the carbon face and because they're now able to move that mass in different places, whether it's going to be the best golf club on the planet, the distance factors all green, I could understand, but
yeah, I mean that's what we're seeing with the drawbacks of higher and higher MOI. You know, they're pushing the material limits to get higher MOI, but the MOI gains ended around about 8.5K.
And this is the problem, because people will all see this lovely marketing thing of 10K, 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 and like AI, 10K, AI. And it's got to a point now where most people see, is it good? Oh, it's 10K, it must be good. Well, no, all that is, MOI is a measure of literally that MOI, but it's not got anything necessarily to do with how good it is when you hit it off the toe, when you hit it off the heel, when you hit it low on a high or anywhere else other than the middle, going the same distance that it should do. That's why we have the distance factor maps, because we map the distance that it goes from all different parts of the face. Different to the flat-faced irons, because a flat-faced iron hasn't got roll and bulge that a driver, Ferrywood or hybrid has. And so on a flat-faced iron, efficiency, ball speed, raw ball speed is by far the most important thing. When you're talking about driver or anything curved, it's the fact that you launch different, you spin different off of different parts of the face, and it's important that the geometry of the golf club is set right so it curves the right amount and blah, 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 blah. So that distance factor wins, not MOI.
Yeah. The increase in MOI would have to be astronomical to see any real gains in, deviation and dispersion. So
yeah,
it's not going to happen.
Okay, but it kind of brings us onto this topic. Kind of. So, uh-oh. Now, I've got to give it credit. Move my chair out of the way a little bit. Now, I've got to give it credit. I think that looks quite nice. Which way does it go? There we go. I think that looks quite nice. I really do. I can't complain about that in the slightest. I think that it's got a hint of Titleist for its sleek.
It's got a lot of the PXG in it.
But because of those three, as you can see, those three weights, now we're getting PXG in there, aren't we, really? And what on earth is going on with that orange bit? So
you can play in the dark, I think.
Yeah. If people haven't seen this before, this is the Ignis D1. Please, anyone, find out what on earth Ignis is. Are we talking it's the Greek god of long drive?
Hellfire.
I don't know. What is Ignis anyway? D1, that's easy. Driver, first generation. Get that one, no problem. What's going on with the Ignis bit? Don't know. The Greek god of chrome. Right, so let's get on to this one. So let's unscrew the head while I'm here. Because there is a funny story about this, and I will be reviewing this. I've got this and the Vice VGD01 and the Vice VGD 01 Plus. Yeah, naming conventions could be better. Although you know exactly what you're reviewing with Vice, it doesn't take too much to work out what you're reviewing. Right, shaft goes that way. That was a Ventus Blue, by the way.
Stock Ventus Blue, not the Velocor Plus.
Because obviously it makes a huge difference. I got a clue. So this is the 10.5 head. So I do all my testing at 10.5 degrees. Why? Because I do 80, 95, 110 miles an hour. If you do an 80 mile an hour swing with a 9-degree driver, that thing has not got enough launch and spin to be useful to literally anyone. So I do everything at 10.5. Yes, for 110 miles an hour. Is it going to be a little bit overkill? Possibly. Yes, maybe. But it gives the best balance to the results. And of course, anyway, when it comes to the advanced data that we measure, it's all loft adjusted regardless anyway. So you're doing a face spin rate, doesn't matter if you've got this, you kind of get the idea. Right, so the Ignis D1, I am going to, so before anyone says anything, I bought these today for the reason of this, not when I open it up and I show you that, not for any other reason other than weighing heads of golf clubs. Just thought I'd, right. So, the very interesting thing was, this was the wrapper. That was the wrapper that it came in. I kept it. And why did I keep it? Much like the Vice, this is the Plus, the VGD 01 Plus, and I've also got the standard one as well, because it has the grams marked on it. Now, Andy, before we do this, give me your experience of head weights of drivers.
Yeah, I mean, it's come to the industry standard that 200 grams, give or take, has been the industry guide. As anything heavier than 200 grams, you get diminishing returns on club head speed. Anything less than 200 grams, you get diminishing returns on smash factors. So everything lives at roughly the 200 gram range.
Yeah, well, so the only real, I wouldn't say exception to it, would be a few years ago, TaylorMade messed around with making their heads lighter to get into the lower 190s. Didn't really work, and of course it's gone straight back up. Ping was the only manufacturer, and I might mess around, I don't know if I've got one over here. I'll tell you what I have got. I've got an old G425 LS Tech.
Saying that the 425 is old makes me feel really old.
Right, so I will also take this off and I'll measure it. So old school pings were always flipping heavy. As in, when I mean flipping heavy, I mean head weights could run 210 on a ping.
I mean, that's why most of their stock shafts are counterbalanced.
This is, yeah, absolutely. Up until recently, you're absolutely right. This is what you have to do on a ping because they get stuck.
Tap
Yeah?
it on the ground.
Ready? Grab the head.
Doink.
Grab the head. Smack it on there. It comes out. There you go.
Usually.
You have to do it sometimes a bit brutal, but it works. Well, we don't need that. That's another shaft on the floor. So now I have the 425. It is in the LS Tech and it's in the neutral position. Right. And the Ignis D1. Now this is not standard. What I mean by not standard is the weights that you get here. You get a 3 gram weight in the toe. You get a 3 gram weight in the heel. You get an 8 gram weight in the rear. That's why we have the kind of 3 ports idea. Now, they do have, where's the little, here it is. In this little box, they had a little weight sachet thing, pocket. And that normally has a 13. The 8 is in the back, and this is the 13. I have took the 8 out of the back, and I've swapped it. It's gone in the rear. So you've got the 13 in the rear now. I have also added the 8 gram to the toe, and I've kept the 3 gram weight in here. So now this is 10 grams heavier than when it started. And so I will mess around with trying to weigh this one anyway. Where's my tool? Where's my tool? I've lost my tool. Oh, it is. There you go. Right, anyway, let's just weigh this ping, shall we? So let's go on hello, it says. Hello scale. 0 it is. And let's just weigh this thing. How much do you weigh? 204.37 grams. Yes, it does 0.37. It does. This is very accurate weight for people that need to cut things. I mean, weigh things very accurately. 204.37. So as pings go, that's quite light. Right. So I've had ping heads run at 210, 211. Let's just go the Ignis with as much weight as I can ram in the girl, right? As much weight as I can. 195. What? No, 196. Let's go 196. Let's be kind. Let's go 196. Let's be kind. Right, so that's 196 grams with as much weight as I can ram in her. My big thing for Tacomo, if you ever listen to any of the reviews, and if you're going to listen to the review that I'm going to do on this one, this is a really good head. I do like it. I like the fact that it feels quite nice. I feel quite confident with it. It has a very, very interesting setup dynamic. So without giving too much away, this, I think, would be safe to say, Andy, I think you would agree to say that this is slightly fade biased as a head.
Well, the head is fade biased.
Yes. Now this is the thing. Now you've seen the gauges, the wonderful advanced gauges that we're doing now with the driver database. Now we've got the drivers set to a point where you know how it'll measure these things. And we've got the gauge charts. Now, this is fade biased, yet I was struggling in its normal setup, not this setup, its normal setup, 3, 3, 3, and 8. I was really struggling for this thing not to go so far left. It is hilarious. To the point where I was running weak grips. And why was I struggling to hit this left, do you think, Andy?
That I know, so you want to just tell everybody.
Whoever decided to put the lie angle on this golf club, this driver must have a lie angle somewhat close to my 7-iron. It's so upright. Like, you can even see it, right, when you put a ping up against it. If I just put the ping, like, hang on, there, and I'll see if I can do this. I mean, this is like, you know, hang on. The lie angle, this shaft is going vertical where this one is going flatter. I don't know what the standard lie angle is of a 9-degree LS Tech 425. Don't really care. It's probably going to be around about the
59.
58 degree.
Okay. Yeah, something like that.
Right. This, closer to my 7-iron. It's mental. It's 10 degrees. Well, on my normal test with the 338, we were running up to 12 degrees toe up on the data set. 12 degrees. And whenever you're running any form of lie angle like this, if we had no loft whatsoever, 0 loft, it doesn't matter. So I could go get, so I'll just use, there's my phone, right? So if I was to have 0 loft on there, no loft whatsoever, 0 loft, it doesn't matter what lie does, because I basically could turn the golf club round like 360 degrees, the face would still look at target, yeah? As soon as you add loft and then you start tipping, you start making the loft look left and right. So every time you have any loft whatsoever, and I can't remember how much I was delivering, about 17 degrees, if by memory, Andy, on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it literally, everything wants to go left, like left. Yeah, this is a fade bias golf club. And the reason why it's fade bias is because the software takes lie out the equation, takes face to path out the equation, takes strike, or it's 0, 0 strike, 0 path, 0 face, and 0 lie. How is this face actually made up? What's the geometry of this face? And if you were to deliver zero lie, zero face, not closed or anything else like that, right in the middle, the golf ball will fade. However, if you go get this golf club and ram it like that, it's a really interesting golf club. That's why when I've done the weights, I put the 8 gram weight, I rammed it in the toe. Just trying to keep the golf ball from just going left. It's a really interesting driver. What are your thoughts, Andy?
Yeah, it's a weird combination. You break it down and something looks wrong at first. You're like, well, this doesn't make any sense. Why do we have this weird combination of fade yet, but then set the lie angle really upright? It's like, what are you doing? Like, do you want it to be a fade driver, or are you like, what are you doing? Like, yeah.
I mean, it's not like, so the VGD, so Vice's VGD, their standard driver, they are happy calling it draw biased. Yeah, they are happy marketing it as draw biased. Now this is stiff. Bloody hell. Christ. Now, I would say that the 13 gram weight had a fair amount of blue Loctite on it. And it's come out now. That's on the floor. I'll keep that one in there.
Yeah, it's just like.
Oh no, I won't. I'll take them all out, and I'm going to weigh the head with nothing in it.
The thing about lie angle though is that it's such a dynamic thing to a person, right?
Yep.
So that it changes person to person. So it's not like it's something that's going to give a head a consistent performance.
No weights. No weights. On. Hello. Hello. Let's weigh it again. God, this thing is going to float away. Hang on. How much do you think this thing weighs? Andy?
What is it? 172?
Blankety blank, yes. 174.94. 174.94. Wow,
Yeah,
that's light. I've got to find the where is it? I dropped it on the floor. There it, found it. Right, so 174.94, so 175 grams with nothing in her at all. Let's go take this monstrosity of a weight out the back end of this Lustuk and see how much, because I mean, this could weigh 18 grams, I reckon, off the top of my head. I don't know. 26 was.
Could have been 15 on the 25. That's probably going to come out at 190. Yeah, 190-ish. Maybe 188.
$187.18. It's close. So the interesting thing is, this driver with no weight, and this is quite heavy, with no weight whatsoever, right? None, is as heavy as the standard Ignis with the standard weights in them. Now, I understand what they're trying to do. They're trying to make the head move faster. When I was doing the test, I am slowing my tests down on the basis of my knee. And so I didn't have any issues whatsoever with this driver. It feels really easy to swing. But the problem is it being relatively light, and we did test it in two different weights. We tested it in the standard weight, when it's got weights in, and then the weight that you saw that I had it in last, the heavyweight side of things. We've done 2 sets of data sets. Yes, thanks. My knee thanks that as well. And the interesting thing is, so Andy, explain what happens when you have a driver which isn't very heavy when it comes to hitting a golf ball, which is always standard weight.
Yeah, so smash factor is basically the ratio of, at its core level is the ratio of mass. So the weight of the club versus the weight of the ball. And so the lighter the head of the club, the less, the lower the maximum smash factor you can get. So at a 200 grams, yeah, we're talking about 1.50, 1.49-ish territory. You take 10 grams off that, and now you're down 0.002. So you're talking a maximum of 1.47 to 1.48 before you even take out losses due to missed strike or added loft or any of that jazz. So yeah, so for every 10 grams, if you're losing 0.002, you're losing ball speed straight off the bat.
Yes. Now, this is the interesting thing when it comes to an iron. If we were talking about iron, we are effectively saying we're losing distance. The interesting thing with an iron, actually, I don't care what manufacturers think, absolute distance is not the key. What is important is consistent distance. This is the whole idea of the heat maps, the forgiveness data, the consistency data, which I like to call it. I don't like forgiveness because, yeah, it's consistency. And how good is a golf club at hitting the right number? How much drop off do you get? Blah, blah, blah. When you're looking at a driver, it's got one job, really. Well, it's got two jobs, but the primary job is go as far as you can. The second job is, please, can I find it? Basically. And this is the problem when you've got a driver like this. It is very light and it's standard, and I'm not putting it back to its standard, I'm putting it back into its the last position that we had, the heavyweight position. And the problem is with this in its standard weight, very light, is that you can hit shots out the middle, fine, no problem whatsoever. Okay, I have to feel like I'm leaving the face open because it is so upright and it's light. And it hits target, no problem. But it's just lacking a bit of punch. The ball speed's not quite there. The delivery is good, the launch is good, the face spin rate is decent. It's doing every single thing that you think it would do to get the golf ball out there, but it's just losing a little bit. And it's not a massive, we're not saying it's, okay, Andy, at the top end, 110 miles an hour, the difference between a 1.46 and 1.44, what distance are we really talking about?
It's like, so it's 2 to 3 miles an hour of ball speed. Depending on the profile, your swing profile, that's 1.5 times that. So it's 5 to 6 yards.
It's not the end of the world. However, it's consistent. And it's not like that lightness gives it, I don't think, the ability for me to swing at 3 miles an hour faster.
No, you can't make it. Most people won't adjust to swing it faster because the club head's lighter. And that's assuming that if they swing as well with it. Most people struggle with consistency when swing weight's too light. So if unless you're making the shaft lighter so that your swing weight is the same, you might not even be striking the ball as well. So if you're not striking the ball as well and it's got a lower maximum smash factor, the outcome is more likely to be negative than it is positive.
Yeah. So it's an interesting way to go. What I would say, and I'm not saying it's wrong at all, really not saying it's wrong, and I'm not saying that Tacoma, you should change your thoughts and design on the basis of this. What I am saying is, I've got no issue with it whatsoever. However, in the box, when you give the 13 gram weight, can you either give another 13 gram weight or at least another 8 gram weight? So we can have 2 8 gram weights, one in the toe, one in the heel, and one 13 in the back. That would raise it again by another 5 grams, and then you could potentially have a golf club which should be punching out there exactly the same as the rest of the big boys, smash factor wise. But
yeah, and usually when you go head weights, yeah, I couldn't get the words out there.
That's
very light head weights.
Easy for you to say.
It comes with a very light shaft, a light grip. You reduce as much weight as you can.
Yep.
Across the club, it's rarely that you just have you have a lighter head and then a standard shaft. That usually isn't a good combination.
So, Tyson's back. Hope you're well. ZXi 7 versus T150. Which do you guys prefer, specifically in terms of forgiveness? Excuse me, YouTube Winnie Pops.
I mean, I don't rate them quite the same club. I think a T150 is a little bit more of a PD than it's the 7. I think, although the construction's probably similar, I feel like the ZXi is definitely more in the player's side than the 150, but...
Let's play devil's advocate. Let's just say, for somethings and giggles, that they are both identical. Let's just say that they're in the same class.
Okay.
This obviously where I would obviously say, Tyson, that a shameless plug of www.askgolfnut.com has all of your answers. That's the whole reason why it's there. That answer to that question and many, many other answers to questions as yet that you haven't as yet asked. It's quite some fun on there. So I know which one I'd prefer. I'd go from a personal side of things. I'm on the ZXi 7 all day. Personally, I like the look of the T150. It looks fine, and I probably prefer the look over the ZXi 7. ZXi 7 is a bit more angular and a bit more busy in that sense. A bit of chrome as well. But the ZXi 7 feels nicer. Just feels nicer. However, Tyson did say forgiveness, and Andy, what is the conclusion?
7. The 7 wins on forgiveness.
There you go. So, Hero says, is it Callaway? Was it Callaway or Callaway? Or TaylorMade's new driver that's going to be Quantum? Thought I heard that somewhere, Quantum. That
Quantum
sounds...
AI.
That's
Stealth
Callaway.
Magnificus.
No, it's got to be a Callaway in it. Quantum. That's got to be a Callaway thing. I mean, what have we had? Really, what have we had from TaylorMade in the last 10 years? Just go real far. SLDR was older than that, but we've had QI10, QI35, we've had Sim 2, Sim,
Stealth is the closest thing to
Stealth
Quantum.
2. They've been fairly boring. Not boring, but they've been fairly... Now, Andy, please, reel off some of the Callaway ones.
Well, you got Rogue, Epic, Elite.
Yeah. Keep them coming.
What was it? Sub-Zero. Well, that's, I guess, a sub-model, right? The Sub-Zero model was the...
Don't forget Paradigm.
Oh, the Paradigm, yeah.
So, if I was to say that which manufacturer is going to come up with something and it's going to be called Quantum, and which one of them are going to take ownership of such, I am thinking Callaway absolutely will be done. I'm happy to stand corrected, and I've got a feeling it's going to be Callaway. But if I'm wrong, fair enough. Aero says, is this where he tells us chrome is necessary? Chrome is always necessary. The Greek god of chrome, yeah. Aero said, Mr. Robertson had a Vice HQ tour video this week. Was pretty cool to see how many prototypes they had. Irons, drivers, putters. They are really growing. I won't say any more. Ping says, oh no, Eero says that Ping is slightly heavier, right? Yes, up until now. Now Ping have gone light boy. Unfortunately, because the old adage of Ping always saying that they don't care about being longest. They care about being longest overall. As in, if you take the mishits into account, if you take all these bits and pieces into account, they've always wanted to be the longest. And they've always run heavy heads, and you are going to get more efficiency, not a better efficiency as a drop-off. What I'm saying is you are going to get more efficiency from a Ping than you will do other manufacturers based on the fact of their head weight is just heavier. However, with Ping, no different to every other company trying to sell more golf clubs, and it very much so more goes down the route of, as time goes on, selling via launch monitor. If people love swing speed, people don't. They do look at ball speed, but it's not as enticing as someone saying, look how much faster you're swinging that one. As soon as you think that, it's because it's directly attributed to you, you're swinging it faster, which means automatically you're going to hit it further. Yeah, but no. So ping, they've always seen a very small reduction in head speed. It's marginal because of the counterbalance shafts. They are marginal, but you do see a faster ball speed with them. And so this is why, if I look at the longest shots I've ever hit, the longest shots I've ever hit have been with a ping, the LS Techs, because of how they're constructed. They are changed, unfortunately. G440 is such that they have got rid of most of the shafts now aren't as heavily, and if some cases not counterbalanced, because the weights of the head have now got lower. So they are chasing the launch monitor wars, no different. That's because you play the G400s. I think that might be directed to you, Andy, there.
I guess.
Yeah. Carl, the face of a great YouTube thumbnail. Alex Slicer's dream. Yes, it is. It is. Even though the head is fade biased, it's a Slicer's dream. I mean, if I'd have let that thing go with the weight that was in it at the time, if I just let that thing go, I mean, I could have hit it 60 left.
You did hit it 60 left.
I hit 157 yards left because I was just hit it, and it was 3 degrees shut. I can't remember what it was.
It wasn't much.
Well, 3 degrees is a lot. I mean, for me, 3 degrees is wow. But if I just let it go, woof. So yeah. So they made a mini driver. Well, they made a mini driver in weight, not in size, unfortunately.
Actually, a mini driver is heavier than a standard driver.
Yes.
Because like a three wood's usually 220. So.
Carl says, would the added velocity of a lighter club make up for some of the loss in mass turns ball speed? No. Well, it could do. You have to swing it faster than what the normal person will see again. It's not saying that you won't. Some people will. But as a general rule, when it comes to making things lighter, head weights lighter, shaft weights lighter, the whole thing lighter, so you can move the mass faster, I have seen throughout my years as many people swing it slower as faster, and it's some people in between.
I think it's more about a fatigue and joint impact than I think head speed. You know, making it lighter is more of a comfort thing than a speed thing.
Yep. Oh, what we got? So, Carl says, I withdraw my question. You answered it before I even read it. Think about picking up some Maltby TS3 irons. Name withdrawn. Hello. Yeah, we really need to try and get some of the brands like Maltby and Mirror and other people like that as well. So they do have a following. So I think it'd be interesting to try. What I need is I need a guy. What I mean by a guy, as in Rick has a guy, and Guy does all
nightclubs. You can go to for that.
Yeah. What was the joke? It's about a menu. Is there something about a menu? Hang on. Oh, it'll come back to me later. Anyway, I need a management team that deals with all of that side of things. I need a guy because Rick's got Guy. And I need a guy that can deal with all the secretarial stuff. But yeah. Michael, hello Michael, hope you're well. I've been playing with a Ping G430 with 45 gram shaft. I'm 70, struggling with these irons. Well, 45 gram shaft. Woof, that's a light shaft.
Yeah, 45 gram in a G430 is gonna really unbalance that club. Like,
there'll be a fair bit of droop.
And I can't imagine that the swing weight is very comfortable. You know, that's got to be.
The interesting thing is, not static wise, it's not heavy, but balance wise, that'd be very head heavy.
Yeah.
Eero, TaylorMade is M13 or M15, I think.
If he thinks it, I guess it's true.
Michael says, having a fitting Wednesday. Any suggestions for a suit or
Yeah.
no?
Swing speed, delivered loft, self-fit tool.
Well, saying anything. I've done my plug. I've done my allotted plug that I'm allowed. That's it.
New dispersion tool.
Yep, AskGolfNut.com. If you're having a fitting Wednesday, Michael, if you know any of your parameters, if you've had lessons in the past or have had data collected and you know your clubhead speed, you know your launch angle of whatever clubs you've got at the moment, there's a way that you can kind of backwards engineer certain things to give you an idea on the self-fit tool. Great tool, by the way. And if you know from a point of view of where you miss it on the head, that's the whole idea of the heat maps, whole idea of the self-fit tools, etc. So you can actually make a better decision to know which ones are going to work better for you or not. Carl says smoke. Yes. We missed the smokes, didn't we? The AI smokes. Yeah. Adam says rumor. That tomorrow they announced the Cobra 3DP MB. I don't know, there was going to be any cavity ones. Or unless we talk about the cavity ones. Are we talking about the rather than the cavity irons, the game improvement irons is the X? So rumor has it that they announce the MB and the X tomorrow. Unless it's a completely different, it might be America only, I don't know. But again, I've spoke to Cobra and they say, look, when it comes to MB and X, it's firmly December. So, and from my understanding as well, MB, there are so little sets that have been made that there is not even, there is a little bit of, we're not sure if there's going to be enough irons to even show the media. There is that little in the way. The X, however, there's a few more. Because they understand straight away how many people are really going to need the MBs and how many people are absolutely going to be going for the X's. Yes, the X's. It'd be daft them spending their time creating MBs. I think what they should have done, they should have created enough MBs to satisfy the world's media and then react to that afterwards, if needed, when it comes to sales. People, when they're buying something like an MB, a 3D printed anything, because it is that specific, I think they would tolerate them having maybe a week or two more in the way of wait to get them. But I do think if it is a case that they're going to struggle to get enough sets for the media, I do think that would be a little bit of a own goal for Cobra. Can you guys explain what soft stepping or hard stepping does to a club? Is it choppy?
You want the short answer? Basically nothing. The long answer?
Yeah. I was going to go basically not a lot, but choppy.
Yeah.
Where they cut it from.
All shafts have a slope of stiffness from, because they're shaped, they're thicker, wider at the butt, thinner, narrower at the tip. So although you'll see an advanced profile that has like curves in it and stuff like that, that's the advanced profile. That's comparing each segment to each other. But on the general profile, it'll always be stiffer to softer. So whenever you remove length from the tip, you're making the overall shaft stiffer compared to the way it was before. So whenever you remove from the tip, you're hard stepping it, making it stiffer. Now, depending on how much you remove or how much you don't remove, it varies the overall stiffness of the shaft, but it's such minor variation. You would have to have a very dialed in swing to even be able to describe the variation.
I'm useless. Many reasons why I'm useless, but from this one, I cannot tell the difference. But then again, I can't tell the difference when you've got two quite distinctly. Yeah, I can't tell. I can tell in static weight. So if you were to give me a golf club and say, look, it's got a different shaft in it, I can feel, I'm like, yeah, this is heavier, but when I'm swinging it.
So, yeah, it's just a minor adjustment to the overall profile of the club, and like I said, unless you're super consistent on your swing, it's not going to be noticeable. I mean, even a complete opposite of profiles from one profile to the next. You're only talking 2 degrees of deviation between the two. So, you take an existing profile and adjust it half an inch off the tip. You're talking about deflection values of 0.0 something degrees, which.
Yes, and to coin an explanation that you've said a number of times, and I'll just reiterate the whole thing again for shafts, where people completely have shafts the wrong way around. People think that you find the head that you need and then you're dialing in the shaft. And then effectively, if you want a little bit more launch, you then just choose this shaft that goes a little bit more this or a little bit more that. And the fitter turns around and says, well, we'll do this with the shaft, we'll do that shaft. That'll add a bit of this and add a bit of, take a little bit of launch away, take a little bit of spin away, add a bit of launch, add a bit of spin. All shafts effectively do when you're talking about that is they basically bend. People know shafts bend. And yes, a shaft can kick a little bit more differently to another one, and it can affect how much loft the club delivers. And then it also, by that, affect its spin rate. But that's no different to getting the head and either adding some loft or taking it away. What the shaft is there to do, this is what people need to understand. The shaft is there for timing. So if you imagine all different shafts will give you different timing, you are looking for the shaft to suit the bend profile, to suit your loading, that will give you the most chance at statistically being the most consistent at your delivery. If you then need a change in launch, you bend the head. If you need a change of head, you change the head. The shaft is there for timing. Once you've got the timing right, you then suit the head to what you need.
More consistent that way, because like the shaft, any human's only going to be so within a timing window, right? And so any slight variation in your swing day to day because you're stiff or because you're the weather's different or whatever, is going to affect how your shot flies day to day because the shaft will bend differently day to day. But if you change the head 1 degree, your shots are always going to go 1 degree higher.
Yeah. Always. So, what we got? Tyson says, I'm a member of the website. It looks like to me like the ZXi 7 is more forgiving. However, I'm curious about reading the Gen 1 graphs versus Gen 2 graphs. I will let Andy explain. We were talking about that one just before I came on. Carl says, I'm looking forward to the 3DP cavity back irons or the game improvement irons, although I'm pretty certain Cobra may not want to call them game improvement irons. Well, they never know. You may do. We'll see what the media marketing gumph says when it comes through, so that I can buy them used from @Nexi. Yeah. BMAC. Good lads. Long time, no chat. Well, you're always welcome. AKA Tubezilla. You are very, very welcome, and thank you for dropping in and popping down in the chat as well. Do we think Cobra will 3D print wedges too? No. For the moment. There's just no call for it. You could argue there's probably not even a point or a call for 3D printing putters. They have, but putters are a bit more nichey. So, yeah. Right. Do me a favour, Andy, if you can, in the most concise way possible.
Okay. So I created the Gen 1 heat maps based around the data that we could gather from the clubs at the time. And the core concept was it was the original heat maps was always to, whenever we set the quad up, to know exactly where the center of the club is. So you put your dots on the face, and then the distance between those dots defines the center of the face.
Center,
And
as in not geometric center, center from a horizontal lateral center, yes,
yeah,
between the scorer lines.
the ball impact center, right?
Yes.
So wherever the ball, if you hit the shot perfectly, the ball has to hit a certain part of the face, because the ball is only so high off the floor, and if you hit the dead center between the groove lines, the spot on the face is predefined by the ball. If you hit the ball perfectly, it's going to have a specific spot on the face, and that's why you see, Tiger Woods' impact strike, and his wear marks less than a penny wide, because he always hits in the exact same spot.
Yeah, and it's lower on the face. It's not middle of the face,
Yeah,
is it?
it's never, the ball height, the half of the ball radius is 21 millimeters, but because of the loft of the club, that changes. So the more loft on the club, the lower the actual height of the club. Anyway, so the concept was, we know where the quads read in the center, and we were defining the heat maps is so that if you hit here, which is, let's say, 10 mil heel, it would measure the impact here, and we'd apply the math, say, okay, we've lost this much smash factor from 10 mil, how much is that per millimeter? Okay, so it's that much per millimeter, how much is it percentage loss total? And then we would do that for every shot randomly hit across the face, with the understanding that most clubs should theoretically have the where the ball's supposed to hit them, the optimal strike, and that's where your smash factor is going to be the highest. And for most clubs, that is true. But as technology is advancing, and the more hollow-bodied the clubs are, and the more they're dispersing the CG, the less and less the fastest part of the face is that ball ideal location. So the original heat maps drew everything based on this location. Now, if the actual fastest part of the face was heel side on the original heat map, what would happen is the green would be elongated towards that heel side, because instead of saying, okay, it's losing X millimeters, it's actually gaining a little bit of millimeters here and then starts losing it. But the way the heat maps were drawn is it didn't see that gain. It would just see it as 0, 0, 0, and then drop off. Mm-hmm. So you would end up with like these patterns of shapes on certain clubs. And when we got the 3DP comes in, and we hit the 3DP, because the 3DP was about 6 mil lower than the optimal ball position. What happened was the 3DP ended up with this giant elongated green across the whole face, because every direction was mostly a plus. So from here to here it was a plus, from here to here it's a plus, so everything ended up going 0, 0, 0, 0, and then a little bit of a drop off. So then we got to the point where, okay, that's not telling the whole story of these clubs anymore. So we need to design a new way of displaying the information in a way that accounts for this. So now what the heat maps do is, instead of drawing everything radially from the middle, we draw it radially from the hotspot. So on the 3DP side, it's 6 mil low. So that 6 mil low is now considered the fastest part of the face, and it radially draws away from that. But as part of the discussion, we asked people, and we discussed it between ourselves, whether we wanted the hotspot to be the green spot, and then the middle be less than that, or did we want the middle to always be 0, and then the hotspot a plus? And the general consensus was we wanted the hotspot to be a plus. So that's now what we have. So the new Gen 2 maps draw a blue area as the hotspot, and the center is always 0% green. So the center will always be green, but as you move around the face, so like on the 3DP, as you get lower, it now turns blue before turning green again. And all the irons do that.
And that is why the heat maps are slightly different on the Gen 2 than the Gen 1.
But the irons that change the most are the irons that have that hotspot brighter and further away from the middle. So it can be a long way from the middle, and that'll change the heat map compared to the old one, or it can be very, very hot from a smaller miss, and that'll
Yeah.
also change the Gen 1 to the Gen 2.
And remember,
But
the reason why the heat maps can be somewhat different is because the old ones were always drawn from the middle outwards. The new ones are drawn from the fastest part outwards.
yeah.
So that's why they're
So
somewhat different
yeah,
sometimes.
so usually you'll find that the ones that look different I've moved to a different point, and usually have a blue in a point that's not where they were. The interesting thing is the underlying losses are almost identical. Like before, if it lost, you know, 2% per 10 millimeters, it still loses 2% per 10 millimeters. It's just drawn from a different place, and it starts off 2% higher to begin with. So it starts off to a +2. So now at 10 millimeters, it's 0, whereas before it would have been 0 -2. The overall loss per millimeter is the same. It's just got now a different color gradient applied to it. So
Yeah.
it's not that so much the data's changed or how we record the data's changed or anything
No,
like that.
because it's
just
the same data.
yeah, it's like we're using the same data from the old clubs. We're literally using the old shot data from the old clubs. We're just interpreting it slightly differently
Yeah,
to
because we're
try and
now
give a
adding
bit.
the hotspot.
Yeah, we're trying to. It's all the same data. It's all the same shots. It's just visually drawn different to try and give a more detailed explanation of the face.
There you go. Ta-da! Just like that. Right. So
So the other thing, the way to think about it is that a club that goes from +2% to -2% is still a 4% spread. So it's no different than a club that goes from 0% to 4%. It's just instead of being all short, some are now longer and shorter. And depending on how you want to look at that, that can be good for you or bad for you. Right? If you were always long before, having everything 4% short tends to help you. If you were always short, having the 2% long can't help you. So
yeah,
it's not that in one way or the other is better or worse. It's just a different way to look at it and a different way to think about it. But
I
the
personally,
overall understanding is the same.
yeah, I mean that's why I personally love the 3DP because I would rather I'm going for the number. So at my level, I'm going for the number. And if I miss hit, like I do, I'm not a robot, so I will miss hit. I'm looking for, if you've got a golf club that has a 4% drop off, so 0 to -4. And then I've got a golf club that does 0 to +2 to -2, because I'm looking at hitting that number. And I've got, generally speaking, especially when I'm like hitting the golf ball properly and not messing around like I do 99% of the time, purposely trying to miss hit shots, that I don't want to be 4% short from a miss hit. I want to be 2% either way because I'm going for that number, because I'm much more consistent as a general rule for the most part of golfers. When you're talking about golfers that have interesting deliveries, if you've got a pin at the back and you've got someone who's already got an interesting dynamic loft delivery, the last thing you necessarily want is for them to hit a fast part of the face and then go even further. When it comes to an amateur's miss, yes, short is always safer from a general rule, but I mean, this is the whole idea of trying to make sure that you get fit into the correct golf club that suits your miss. And for the importance, and I always say from a coach's perspective, I will always say this, it's the equipment is really important that you make sure you get properly custom fit and you get the right equipment that suits the way you miss a golf shot. Primarily though, you are still the most important part. And I mean, this goes on to, perfect segue, to Andy's dispersion tool, where effectively we've got two parts to dispersion tools. You put your information in there, your stand deviation on your club head speed, your angle attack, your path, your face to path, and your miss. And then you can put two different golf clubs in. So you're looking at not only the miss rate as such of you, but you're also adding then the miss rate of the golf clubs that you're testing. And what becomes apparent very, very quickly is that if you are not very good and you have a quite wild standard deviation of your delivery dynamics, kind of doesn't matter what kind of golf club you have. It will exacerbate problems maybe, but the size of the blobs you can get and the distribution pattern that you can get with a golfer that's obviously not very good, it's huge, really big. What we got? PMAT says, has either of you ever had chance to try out a dot version of any of the recent TaylorMade driver heads? Yes. They require a firmware upgrade to the quad. So the amount of times that I've had this, and the fitters are using their quads with the TaylorMade heads with the dots on them, and they are, yeah, you need a firmware update. They're fine. They work out. Would I still rather use dots? Yes and no. One, yes, because I quite like using the dots. I've got into the pattern of using dots. But two, these things, as you can see, that one's empty. This one, fully. These are about 130 quid each. Only one job, to dispense dots. That's it. And it has a dot, it dispenses out on a little tab. You put the dot on there, pull the tab off, you get loads of these tabs. That's why sometimes you'll see them in the videos, I'll have them on the desk, because I literally just put them by the desk by the side of me. But every single time I go through one of these, and you can just imagine how many of these I go through with the dots that I use with all the golf clubs that I test, 130 quid a time. Yep. A lot of money. A lot of money. That was hilarious, Carl. It was on the Nexi comment. Don't tell Nexi. Eero says, does a quad measure a range ball differently than, say, a Mizuno S or a Pro V1? Only for its launch dynamics, not its flight dynamics.
It doesn't read the ball differently. It reads the ball the same. It's understanding of what that ball does after it leaves the capture window is what it thinks about differently.
Yeah, so quad will measure its launch dynamics. So if you have a range ball which launches lower and spins more, it will measure that. And it will then plot what that ball would do based on it being a Pro V1 and launching the way it did. Yeah, because a quad is built on the flight profile of a Pro V1. And so if you use, this is why you cannot do proper, you can, but you can't. You can do ball testing on a quad, but you can't do, I would say, scientific ball testing with a quad. You could do it with a quad and TrackMan, or a TrackMan in a hangar where it had a roof 150 foot tall and 400 yards long. You could, and no wind at all. Literally no wind, and you could control the atmospherics. Then you absolutely, yes, you could do proper ball testing with a quad, because you can test then aerodynamic lift and flight profiles, which those dimple patterns will give. If you're just talking about raw how a golf ball reacts upon impact, and that will mean launch angle and spin rate differences, yes, a quad will measure that. What differences it will make when it comes to its construction of dimples, how many dimples, the depth of dimples, all these different things. In flight, no. Brett's in the house. Hello, Brett. Hope you are well. Good day. Good day, Brett. Have you had chance to hit the Callaway AI 150? No. I'll be honest, I haven't actually gone out to get it, really. I've had so little people ask for it. It was, I mean, It was
kind of a weird club from Callaway. It was kind of like an afterthought that really anybody who just bought the 200, 300 or the other ones, the other 50 clubs Callaway released this year.
My issue with, I'm looking forward to AI 200, AI 300 being replaced. I wasn't a great fan with AI 200 or 300 on the basis of its consistency level. Its face speed is really good. The AI Smoke face speed is really good, but all three hold quite low end positions in the consistency database because they are just so fast out of the middle, they purely cannot be as consistent for the rest parts of the face, and so they do suffer in the heat maps, etc. because of that. So I am looking forward to Callaway changing them. They do certain parts of their performance extremely well, like face speed, like I've just said, is incredibly good. So well done Callaway for making something ridiculously fast. But the only problem with making something ridiculously fast out of the middle, it then becomes really difficult for them to make the outside parts of the face even faster, because they need to be even faster because they're not as efficient. And that's where you go, like variable face thickness, etc. The problem is you're already pushing the middle to the very limit. And this is where you've seen quite a few manufacturers over the passage of X number of years, their faces have caved in on their irons. Not talking about drivers or anything, their irons are caving in. It's because they're trying to push the laws of metallurgy way past what's sensible. PMax says, Hero, my GC quad just... Oh, see, you know you're talking to like a proper fan here where he says, my GC quad. Love it. Just measures the actual ball you're hitting and shows the numbers taken. TrackMan range has a normalized feature, but I don't think it's accurate. Any time you're using a normalize on a TrackMan. Yep, Hero says, Jay, there is no equipment to fix my mishits. I've looked and I've tried them all. It's called a swing coach. Carl says, Hero, it's always the club's fault. That's it, you help him out. You make him feel better. Hero, quad is massively better for indoor, but does it do better outdoor if all you have is crappy range balls? They're exactly the same. If you're going to use crappy range balls, doesn't matter if you've got a TrackMan or a quad, there's no point measuring ball data on the range with crappy range balls. It gives you no information whatsoever, no usable information whatsoever. You cannot take any part of how that ball launches, the speed, its spin, or anything else like that, its carry, apex height. There's nothing you can take from that crappy range ball that you can apply to your own game when you play. However, if you've got a quad with the head measuring enabled, then I don't care what ball you're hitting. Doesn't matter. I just want an impact. I want it to register an impact, so it would give me the delivery dynamics. That's all I care about. Don't care where the ball's gone. Ball can do it once because a lot of the range balls are so bad anyway. I've seen range balls that draw fade. They start to draw, they're that bad, they fade at the end. And ignore, just ignore. But the club data, absolutely. PMax says, oh sorry, I meant the dot version, as in the version 2 that the pros use rather than the fitting head.
It's like the Tour edition, the Callaway Triple Diamond or the TD.
Oh, no. No, to be fair, I haven't. PMax says, but good to know about those heads too, as I have a GC quad. You may have said. There's going to be so many people jealous of you right now. The quad is an amazing tool. They made the Quad Max to try and stay relevant on the basis of bringing something out Foresight, when actual fact, the quad, it's just brilliant. I don't really see the point in the Max. It doesn't really do anything different to what the quad does. What I want from Foresight as a upgrade for the GC, what you want to call it, 5, is this. Dot on the shaft to measure shaft leans and shaft droops and shaft this and shaft dynamics. Now,
you need multiple dots though.
Yes, you do, and you need a bigger field of vision. The window on a quad is quite good, but it's letterboxing. It's like that. Yeah, so it's measuring really well what the club's doing, what the ball's doing, but it's not measuring up here what the shaft's doing. So it's a really interesting idea, but there you go. If you go to any European Tour event, you'll see that most of the pros use quad rather than TrackMan on the range. Yep, because TrackMan, the great thing with quad is it does take atmospherics out of the equation. It doesn't care about wind. It just hits shots, hit shots, hit shots. And then you will find that some people will have then, and it's got barometrics as well, so it understands where you are in the world, and it will obviously give you the carry based on where you are in the world. A lot of pros that have got lots of money they will have both, and because you can see the raw carry, and then you can see what happens when you involve, if they've got a 10-mile-an-hour downwind on the range that day. They will want to know that data. You can program that into quad, but I can understand why people have those two raw pieces of information, two iPads, bang, bang, you get the information. I get it, I do. Iro says, be right back, guys. Got to go tell the boss that we have to move so I don't have to use crappy range balls. you let me know if that gets on for you. And
he already lives in 2 places. How many more places does he need?
But he lives in 2 places with crappy range balls. Alex says, on the range, though, the players are looking at the performance, not equipment. Absolutely. What you'll do is you will find that the tour truck will be there, a player will come in and will say, look, I'm starting to hit this a little bit here, as a pattern I'm doing this, and they might tweak the lyre degree or whatever it be, but by that point they're well into their equipment understanding of what they need and what works for them. PMAX says, Alex, they do both. They usually have an iPad with them or their coach will be holding it. Absolutely, they will. Whew. Right, we're caught up. Andy, did you have anything that you particularly wanted to talk about?
Just website updates. There's been a few website updates, a few tweaks to the existing pages, new dispersion page on the Gold tier for, like I said in the post on Discord, as good as the self-fit tool is for impact dynamics and getting the irons that are going to fit your impact dynamics in terms of length and consistency, the dispersion tool really can show you your own expectations of accuracy, right? You know, what your swing impacts and deviations, standard deviations of your data, what is like kind of the maximum expectation you can get from your swing. There's no point saying, oh yeah, this club's way more forgiving, but if your swing dynamics already creates a 20-yard dispersion ring, a club isn't going to suddenly shrink that down to 10 yards.
No, because a club doesn't know you're going to hit it 20 yards left that time.
Yeah, so knowing what you're guiding your expectations, so you're not running out saying, oh yeah, I got to go get the latest club because it's going to shrink my dispersion. It's not going to do that, but at least it gives you a tool that can tell you what to expect from yourself and what's going to make the biggest impact to your improvement.
And remember, when it comes to the dispersion tool is much more of not an equipment-based thing. It's more of an understanding of the human-based dynamics of what you bring to the party as such. And when you look at the dispersion tool is great to see what the patterned shot placements will be for your delivery dynamics and your standard deviation of miss. The interesting thing will be that if you look at the left-right will absolutely be basically you. Always you. Front to back, having a golf club which works really, really well or really, really poorly, you will see a difference front to back, because what effectively you're doing, you're adding a very, very inconsistent golf club to a very inconsistent person. You'll get good, good, and poor, poor, which will result in bigger miss, as opposed to good, good, and poor, good. If you know, kind of get my idea, it will be smaller. If you're talking about you're hitting the golf ball 150 yards and you're missing by 40 yards, there's no golf club on the planet that's going to help that. So that's the great thing with the dispersion tool. You can actually see how much impact a different golf club will have and how much more work you have to do for yourself. We have, I saw a set of Avoda irons with bulge. I wonder if that would make it difficult to work the golf ball.
No, there's somebody asked that question on Discord, and I wrote a lot. If you jump on Discord, you can read the long-winded answer to that. So this is like along the Bryson line, right? So Bryson's worked with LA Golf to produce the new drivers where they have different roll and bulge radii based on the person's swing. And the Dovo now has a club with a radii so that, you know, when you hit it off the toe, the radii makes it turns your full tilt axis to a little bit of a push and a little bit of tilt axis. So in theory, you end up with a straighter total shot. The problem with that is the reason why LA Golf has multiple drivers at multiple radii is that one radii doesn't fit all. Just like what a flat face isn't perfect. A single radius, any single radius isn't perfect.
Nope.
Now, if you could get your exact radii.
Yep.
For every person, now we're getting into the realms of really fine tuning to individual persons.
And this is where Cobra potentially have the biggest win over everyone, because they can 3D print. And the Cobra are literally only just at the moment, they are just dipping their toe into what's possible with the 3D printing. And I can see with Cobra, if they just do a better job of marketing, spend a lot more money basically, the realm of Cobra could be one of the biggest brands in golf in the next 6-7 years if they do things right, because the 3DP is just brilliant. The 3DP, if it was differently lofted, I would game them straight away. If the MB is anything close to the Tours, I am nursing a semi.
Just got banned from YouTube.
Just being honest. The 3DP Tours are that good. And if the MBs are anything like those and look the way the MBs do, that is going to be a struggle not to put them in the bag.
Yeah. So anyway, the radii thing is
yeah. Sorry.
having a radii of any fixed amount will adjust the flight, but could make just as many mishits bad as they could help. So right, if you've got a radii and you leave the face open, now the ball's going to start right, not curve back as much. Whereas if it had been a square face, it would have started more left and curved back a bit more. It would have ended up more on target. So depending on any given combination of variables, any fixed radii of a bulge can hurt or help. So.
All right. So I'm just going to go to @J. What is that for?
He's shocked because of what you just said.
Oh, he said worse. Carl says, I've been away, so sorry if I've missed this, but has there been any updates on RoboJ? So yes, as in we need another piece of software, something that can do a better job of accelerating the old girl a little bit slower. We've had 2 incidents, we'll call them, whilst in the process of testing, 2, and this has happened at a relatively slow speed as well. So I don't think Andy and I have any doubt that the robot motor is capable of the speeds we require. I'm pretty certain it is. However, the acceleration and deceleration is so aggressive, and we can't smooth it out. It's not like we're setting the golf ball down at 6 o'clock and we're setting the golf club at 5 o'clock, and we're giving the golf club a whole rotation nearly to hit the golf ball, and then another whole rotation to effectively slow down. And what we're finding is that even though it's starting at 5 o'clock, by the time it gets to 2-3 o'clock, it's done all of the acceleration. The acceleration is so aggressive that even swinging at 50 or so miles an hour, it's doing 50 miles an hour in that. And the load it is putting on the shaft has meant that we have gone through 2 golf clubs, because we've had one golf club literally shear off, and luck of the Irish had it that it didn't hit anything, just hit the floor behind me. And then the other one, it broke and the rubber grip did not break. The first one did, just sheared off and flew. But the second one didn't. So we have parked it for the meantime, it's sitting behind me, on the basis that we need to spend some time to try and find a piece of software that's going to do a much better job than the current one, because 1, we're running out of golf clubs, and 2, I'm running out of lives as a cat.
It's such a drama queen. He really is.
Yeah, you're not sitting on it. Right. James says, I'm curious as to the forgiveness differences between player CB and players distance irons. Do CB seem more forgiving purely due to loft distances or differences? No. I.e., would a player's distance 8 iron usually be as forgiving as a Wilson CB I230 at 7 iron? No. Loft for loft. So all the forgiveness stuff that you see, every single metric, every single dynamic that you read, is all loft for loft adjusted. Everything is nullified out, everything is neutralized, so we are talking about loft for loft differences. I don't have to say anymore, do I?
So, I mean, we define forgiveness as consistency of distance, right? You know, what these clubs do when you mishit them,
Well,
how consistent the distance is.
On a driver, consistency of ball speed for an iron.
Yeah. So but for an iron, usually you got the very loft and dynamics, little bit of speed, a little bit of loft. So the ball speed is going to be the biggest dictator as distance, right? So the more ball speed you're going to lose, the more distance you're going to lose. And so like we're comparing 27-degree 7 irons to 34-degree 7 irons. So the math has to account for all that. And the delivery, every delivery, has a slightly different amount of loft, so we have to account for that. So yes, if in terms of front to back consistency, it doesn't matter what the loft is. Now, spin loft is a different it's a different thing. So the higher your spin loft, the more face to path error you can get away with for the lateral dispersion. So that's why it's easier to hit a 9 iron straighter than it is to hit a 4 iron, because the spin loft is significantly more, so you get more margin of error for your dispersion. So so the higher the lofted the club, the more likely you are to have better left to right dispersion for the same swing. But at the end of the day, you're picking that loft for a specific distance, right? You can't hit an 8 iron 200 yards, so it's kind of irrelevant, The loft is just the loft. It's what loft you need for a certain distance. So.
Well, some of us can't hit an 8 iron 200 yards, Andy.
Yeah, that would be a new record for me.
What, even with the Rogue X's?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm pushing a Rogue X to like 178 with the 8 iron.
James says, excellent info, thank you. So hopefully that has explained the differences. Everything is like for loft, everything is adjusted. So if you have a bigger loss on one or the other, it's not because of loft or anything else like that. It's just because of one face is less consistent than the other. Robert, I'm a lefty and would like to get a launch monitor. That measures from the back. What do you suggest? Budget, what information do you want? A lot of it all depends. Budget's first. Then, depending on how big your budget is what kind of information do you want it to collect and measure, like properly? And yeah, absolutely, how much space you've got.
Because all radar units require a minimum space, like anything less than 8 feet behind the ball and 8 feet in front of the ball to the screen. Anything less than that, and all of them start getting dodgy results pretty quickly.
Like TrackMan needs quite a bit. Yeah. So a power spec i230 would actually be more forgiving than the i530. Yes.
More consistent, yeah.
Yes, yeah. People see, this is the interesting thing, and Andy and I have had this conversation last year and a bit about the fact that forgiveness, much like AI, much like 10K, MOI, all these different buzzwords, is what's stored in people's brains. They love these words, and forgiveness for me and Andy, and for everyone really, is the consistency of hitting the distance from regardless of where you hit it on the face. We're not talking left to right. Left and right, guys, honestly, is you. If you're going to point the face 5 degrees open or 5 degrees closed, that's exactly where that golf ball's going to start. And depending on your path, it can get even worse, and depending on your path, it can get even better, dependent. But effectively, left and right is mainly you, 90% you. Front and back, that's where the club comes in. You can have a club which is extremely poor, and it will absolutely work considerably different to a golf club, which is really, really good. Then you take into account the golfer though. If you've got a very good golfer, those differences, you can really see them. If you've got a very, very poor golfer, those differences are now blurred within the mess of the golfer itself. Hashtag dispersion tool.
Yeah. Yeah, the I-230, I mean, you got to remember what the I-230 gives up over the I-530, right? So you're going to give up maximum distance because the I-530 is faster in general than the I-230. Yep. So although at the same loft, the I-530 is still going to go a little bit further on the best strikes, the I-230 is going to have more strikes closer to the original number. The I-530 might have the longest, but it'll also have the shortest. Whereas the I-230 won't have the longest, but it won't have the shortest, and that spread is where it comes in. So,
if the I-230 was trying to sell itself over the I-530, it would turn around and say what Ping normally used to say, is the fact that I don't care about being the longest, but I want to be the longest overall. So when it comes to all the miss-hits that you make and how close they are to the middle, as opposed to the I-530 will stretch its legs over the I-230 if they were loft for loft equal. But their misses will be worse than the I-230. Their drop-off will be worse than the I-230. Robert says $1,000 US. That is equivalent to around about, I don't know, £700, Andy? £680?
I think the only good monitor that's rear mounted within that range is the MLL, right? The MLM Pro.
Can you get it for that?
Yeah, I think so.
Can you? Well, I would definitely say that one, because that's pretty good. It is pretty good.
Yeah, I can get that for $699 right now.
Ooh. That's the only option, really. I see it. Is that one has that got all the data?
I think it has limited club data. Because it's a dual system, right? It's a camera plus.
My issue with if you're a decent golfer, so this is what people need to understand. If you're a decent golfer, you can get away with only just a certain amount of data, effectively clubhead data. I could use a GC3 if I wanted to. I only had one dot data, I only had clubhead speed, angle of attack, club path, and that was it. You don't get your facer path, you don't get your dynamic lie, you don't get your dynamic loft, you don't get your strike location, because I know my swing inside out, so I know I don't move around much. And I know where I'm hitting on the face by the feel of the sound where I'm hitting. If you talk about a golfer that hasn't got that ability, you are going to need head data, because if not, the assumptions that you'll be making for what you're doing are so wildly out, because you haven't got decades of experience on equipment and with your own fairly consistent swing. Your swing isn't consistent, and you haven't had decades worth of experience on launch monitors, etc. So I would say, if you can push your budget to something that has as much clubhead data as you possibly can do. Remember, it hasn't got to be perfect, it's just got to be consistent. That's the most important key. It can be out by slightly, it doesn't matter, but as long as it's always out by that slight amount, it's no problem. Mevo 2 is a bit above that. Rapsodo is a winner, but has a subscription. Yes, a Mevo 2 is an option, yeah. But again, as I say,
space. The Mevo 2's limit is space instead of it takes a little bit longer to dial it in, and you need a bit more space. The Rapsodo MLM2 is just more drop it and swing.
So Rosie Sandwiches says, intrigued by your video on more forgiving wedge soles. Is there a reason it seems easier to chunk a wedge than an iron, or is it that just me? No, it's not. Well, actually, I suppose you would argue with the amount of iron shots that people play to wedge shots, that people actually chunk more iron shots than wedge shots, but that's because of the frequency of the iron shots. Is it more easy to chunk a wedge? Depending on the individual's technique, absolutely it is. The problem with a wedge as opposed to an iron, people struggle with their low point. Chunking is only low point control, and because with an iron, there is generally, because it's a more of an aggressive throwing motion as such, you are being a bit more aggressive in your lateral motion. So you'll generally have a better potential to get ahead of the golf ball to have that slightly downward angle attack ball then floor. With a wedge, because people see far too much as these things and not as much as the body, they get their body stalls, they don't get their weight right to start with, and then their arms just carry on, and then effectively they chunk it because of that. Low point control on a wedge all day long. Now, wedge soles can make a big difference. Yes, they can do. Technique makes even more difference, but you always get your wedge soles suited to how you deliver the sole into the ground and what ground conditions you normally play on. There you go. James says, would it be possible to make... I was going to make a joke there, but I'm so glad I didn't. Off air. What did James say? James said, would it be possible to make a video comp of the most legendary irons to see how the heat map forgiveness compares to modern technology? I think it would be likely one of your most liked. If anyone has an iconic iron that they don't use anymore and wants to send it to me, I will. And it's got to be an iconic one, like a Ping Eye 2, Andy?
Yeah, that's everywhere, every place online that is golf, people swear by the I2s, like as if they were like unbeatable, and I
Okay.
think they're just living in, it's like anything from when you were a kid. Everything seemed like the best thing ever, and then you go back later as an adult and you try it and it's just not the same.
You never know, mate. It could be amazing. If someone has got a very good quality Ping Eye 2, it has to be good quality on the basis if it's beaten to, it's not fair. So if it performs poorly, inconsistently, etc., if it's that beaten up, then I would never want to have that as a potential for saying that the golf club's rubbish because of that.
And that's the other thing. For all the fuss people make about top lines and offset these days in terms of visuals, that anybody can claim the Ping Eye 2 was their favorite club. That
It's a looker.
Living in a different world.
What a looker.
I'm not saying they weren't good irons. I mean, they could well be good irons, but the standards that people like put on stuff these days in terms of, oh, that's ugly. That it's like the M's, the M13s and the M15s, like that little badge that's on the back. That was
the
like
M13s.
That was like a deal breaker for so many people when they saw that. And then you look at the I2s and you think, are you serious? Like, look at that thing. It looks like it was randomly hit with a hammer. And you're going to say that's the best club ever, but this little tiny square badge is a deal breaker?
It does look like, I mean, the Ping Eye 2 it looks like it's been dropped out of 747, doesn't it?
Yeah, and like it was some sort of wreckage from a car crash.
It's been run over 17 times.
It had a shaft attached to it.
It landed on the highway, then got run over. Robert says, I have a Garmin R10 right now, but it doesn't seem to be very accurate. Yeah, I've adjusted, but can't seem to get it correct. I use it in my garage, 8 foot behind a 12 foot bike. Robert, have you got a air conditioning unit in your garage? We'll wait the reply. Ping Eye 2, Titleist 712 AP2s. They need to be fairly decent nick, and if someone's got one that they don't use anymore, they've got no use for it, and they want to send it to me for fun and giggles, I'll do it. Why not? But
you change your tune.
Yeah, Ping Eye 2. Titleist AP2 is still going to be probably going to feel rubbish.
And the thing with any radar unit is, especially indoors in like a garage, like where there's metal surfaces, anything that can create a radar reflection or a spinning fan or anything that moves like in the wind or anything like that can totally destroy good radar results.
Robert. If you there's a gentleman online. He had one before he moved over to Square Golf, because the Square Golf launch monitor is relatively cheap as well, and it does give decent ball data, and it does, but that's sitting in front of you, not behind you, so that's obviously out of the equation. But he used to have the Garmin R10, and he had multiples of issues with it until he basically cocooned it in a Faraday cage because he determined it was getting interference from his air conditioning unit. And it worked a dream after that. But that's Spike. Can you remember Spike, Andy?
Yeah.
Blue collar golf. What is his?
I haven't seen him in a while.
No, he's busy. He's busy doing his own stuff, isn't he? So where is? Let's see if I can find. Right. So, see if I can grab this and if I can share. Copy. Da-da-da. Get rid of it. And I'll see if I can dump it in. No, that's the wrong one. Right. Let's see if I can get this up on here. Frugal Fixer. There we go. There you go. Robert, if you go onto that channel, if you then message him, I'm pretty certain he'll have some thoughts on how to make your Garmin R10 work better in your garage. Or worst case scenario, it'd be a complete waste of your time, but best case scenario, you save yourself $1,000.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No AC or heater. Okay. Well, I'd chat with Spike anyway, because he's used it for years and find all different things. So, right. Okay, so we have got, so Brett, sorry, I've missed this one. I recently hit an original Baffler hybrid, 23 degrees, I think. I was shocked that it went as far as too expensive hybrid and easy to hit.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like, I mean, my hybrids are 9 years old now. And, you know, from a hybrid standpoint, there's not much new in the way of technology. You know, there's nothing really new. I mean, the biggest thing in the new hybrids is adjustability.
Yep, that's the great thing. When did Ping come out with adjustability? 410?
On the hybrid, yeah, they didn't have them on the 400s, I think.
So the 410s, and when the 410s come out, because the first bunch of people that came out really with a mainstream one was Callaway. Callaway came out with the hybrid, and it was like, wow, how have we not thought about this? And yes, it drove the price of the hybrid higher. Yes, it did. Absolutely. And of course, then everything went that way. And of course, everything got more expensive. But now there isn't really, well, there are still free woods about with a fixed hosel. And there are still woods about with fixed hosel. But really, with what golfers now require and demand when it comes to their fittings and their own golf, everything has to be adjustable necked. Adam says, my 70-year-old dad needs new clubs. I'm thinking of the new Cobra Baffler set. He is borderline R or senior flex. He needs to get the woods up in the air more. Remember, flex is not there to try and add or... Yes, you can have a shaft that will add or take away loft. But the most important thing is that you get the shaft that makes you the most consistent in your delivery. If you then need more or less loft, tweak the heads. There you go. Because unfortunately,
and if you're a good ball striker, add an inch to all the shafts and play them a loft stronger. Like you get 4 degrees of loft in the same length shaft. Now you've got a 4 degree stronger version of the same club.
I've always said when it comes to fitting, generally speaking, you fit someone into the longest shaft that they can control. Generally speaking, you don't have to go too far, if any, to find out that limit. But there you go. Robert says, thank you for your answers. No problem whatsoever. Adam, just on the last thing, remember R and senior flex, bearing in mind that's regular and senior flex, that is different on every single brand of manufacturer of shaft. So there is no such thing as regular or senior. It's regular or senior compared to what? You can have, I have done fittings in the past where on the swing DNA, because of the just different brand profiles, etc., you've had an R, an S, and an X on the same top three because of just the way one manufacturer will put the little weight on, ping it and go, that's oscillated, I don't know how many times, we'll call that a regular. And then they do the next one, oh, that's oscillated that many times, that's called a stiff. And they all have their own versions of what they feel that is. And there's no standardized metric of this is that in shafts. It's a mess. There you go. Right. All done. We're good. Guys, don't forget to log on to Discord. Andy's done for the day. He's yawned more times than me.
Just suddenly got hit by a wave of...
Listen to me. Discord up the top here. Andy might actually put the Discord in there as well. But you got the Discord link up the top there, and Andy might put the Discord link, there you go, into the chat as well. That's the greatest and best place to do all the chit chat. Obviously, we talk about the website there and all the different bits and pieces. Of course, you've got the website, the www.askgolfnut.com. That is the place for everyone to go to for their equipment needs and understanding. Thanks, guys. Always appreciate education. Every day's a school day. Well, apart from my little one, because she's been violently ill.
I learned today that senior citizens can get mono.
I don't understand what that means.
It's a disease that's mostly known for teenagers because they like kissing too much.
Mono. What the heck is mono? In the world of the English people, what is mono?
What is the it's mononucleosis, right?
Really? That makes just as much sense.
Oh no, that's something else. That's not right. Oh yeah, mononucleosis, mono, or the kissing disease. Glandular fever is, I guess, it's a British variation.
Do you know what? We speak similar. They are worlds apart. Only the cool kids got it in high school. Okay. Right, yeah. You learn something new every day.
They also got syphilis and gonorrhea.
No, I know those ones, not obviously from experience, but I know them ones. I have heard of those, but I've never heard the mononucleosis. Yeah. Although, Andy, what's your biggest word that you know?
Anti-establishmentarianism.
Ah, pneumotron microscopic silicovolcanoconiosis.
Very good.
Nice. 47 letters. Right. Clap for the Wolfman, says Carl. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Hope everyone had a bit of fun and learned a bit as well. Thank you very much, Andy, for popping on and giving us your spare time. Enthralled as always. And we will catch everybody later on. Bye-bye.